Friday Heaters, back at it again. Today, we're here with Lachlan Turczan, checking out this crazy water heat. Let's heat it up. This is you live workspace here.
Yeah.
So you get like, when people come over, it's just like, check out
all my stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, kind of.
Man, this is like prime, like live workspace.
It's a good spot.
Like when we think of like the romance of the artist in
The
LA,
artiste, yeah.
you've kind of achieved some of that.
It was mostly so that I could find a place to house this thing, which is kind of a behemoth.
And is it hard finding a place that can fit a big circular screen on the ceiling?
Basically, yeah. The 13, or it's a 12-foot diameter scrim.
You have to have the length just right too in order to get the right amount of reflection on the screen?
Yeah, it's actually where the light is seated above that parabola. That's like the focal point of that optic.
Yeah.
And so that's where that needs to be in order to focus it. And then if it was like to hang out or anything like that, if I made like a little lampshade arm, it would cast a shadow above the projection.
Where did this type of art start for you?
I make artwork with water and light and sound.
Light, sound.
Yeah, those are my mediums. I was studying painting in school and then went to this retrospective in 2013 at LACMA. That was the James Turrell retrospective.
Oh, yeah.
And then just everything took a hard right turn and I started making light artworks, but using water as like the way of shaping it. The goal was that you could like touch light. So water felt like that interface for the ability to like, if you shine light off of a pool of water and if you tap that pool of water, you're gonna affect the reflection.
Was it hard, like, in many ways when I hear that story, I'm like, oh shit, like, suddenly you have to become a scientist and know all this stuff about like, I'm gonna use the wrong terms, like geometry and like angles and the chemistry of water, or can you be more like, I'm an artist, like not a big deal?
I did tinker. I've tinkered like for about 11 years. So that's when I started working on this stuff, on this piece in particular.
Yeah.
You just like pick up stuff as you go along. I wouldn't say I'm like an expert physicist or anything like that, but I've had to like, learn enough to make it work, I get really lost in the phenomena. So for me, I'm just like enamored and I'm basically obsessed with, this phenomena of cymatics, which is vibrating water with sound, and then like caustic reflection. So like what you see on the bottom of a swimming pool. So I feel like I've been pretty lucky. I've just kind of been pursuing my interests and it's always been really like rewarding.
Man. So those two things again were
Cymatics.
Cymatics.
Yeah, which is the study of like vibration through matter.
Okay.
So you see a lot of these demonstrations like on YouTube and stuff where you'll have like a pool of water in a speaker, and when you play tones through it, it creates, and this is the same thing, except I'm creating my own kind of sculptural speakers, basically.
Do you feel out on an island by yourself a little bit? Like when you don't have many people, like how do I learn how to do this? Are there other people to get?
Nah, there's like a huge wealth of, there's so many resources online. And there's like physicists from the 60s. I mean, this is a well-documented physical phenomena that like dates back to like the 1700s. And actually the first person to ever like write about it is Da Vinci, which is pretty cool.
Whoa.
Yeah.
You're carrying on, you have the Da Vinci
carrying
torch.
on my Renaissance.
No big deal. So then in terms of the materials that go with the water and light, like this looks awesome. What is this kind of like, I think like mirror or stainless steel or something, is that pretty typical?
So oftentimes work with stainless steel since it doesn't have, it doesn't corrode and it, is not going to get too damaged. I would love to be working with aluminum. Aluminum is a lot more sonorous than stainless steel.
Sonorous, man. These are great words. It's great words.
Like sonic. Like it basically reverberates and carries like a pitch much better. Like if you make if you hit a piece of aluminum, it'll vibrate and ring out in a really pure way for a lot longer than stainless steel.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But stainless steel is great because it's not going to get damaged and so this was actually a test. This is a giant, was a giant custom forged sheet of pre-polished stainless steel. So it was perfectly mirrored.
Okay.
And it was like, we had it custom forged. So it came from a really large sheet. And then we hydroformed it. So the process of hydroforming is basically like blowing a balloon.
Yeah.
But the balloon is, in this case, steel. So what that enables us to do is have no tooling marks. It's just water pressure. And you get this really cool, like brushed reflection. I don't know if you can sort of see that. But this is a finish that I've never seen before in anything else, which I'm pretty stoked about.
Yeah, it really just is like hypnotic, pulls you in. So when I visualize a sheet of stainless steel and like blowing it up as a balloon, what does that look like? I mean, I'm just trying to like, how does that work?
I have to show you these videos on YouTube, but basically you have this like cavity and you put your sheet on top of it and then you clamp it down. So there's no ability for that to move anywhere and it's completely airtight with the cavity below. You just fill a cavity up with water.
Whoa.
And you do it at a high pressure, so you don't let the water come out. You keep going and going, and the only thing that can give way is this stainless steel.
Yeah.
And so it moves. It's really. I mean, it happens in like 30 seconds. It's just like, and then you're done.
Yeah.
Wow,
that's so killer. Yeah, because we got a nice like perfectly round backside here.
So this is just this was basically the raw material to then create, these larger kind of vibrating bowls.
And so what we're seeing here is like kind of this is what exists and lives underneath these surfaces.
Yes, so that is just before it gets polished. This one on the backside is polished. You won't be really able to see it, but it looks like, this guy here.
Okay.
Yeah. And so we have this armature here. It's like, we call it the cradle, and it's got 8 legs, and it mounts onto this, and then we impart all of our vibration through these speakers here.
Okay.
Or transducers.
So our speaker, are you like I think of coming from the music world as like audiophiles.
Yeah.
But like, is this a different type of audio enthusiast than like someone who cares about how like the best hi-fi home audio system?
Yeah, this is like the kind of stuff that's used in like theaters or maybe in 4D immersive rides. So this is the kind of butt kicker thing that like moves your whole chair basically. So I work with an amazing engineer. He's kind of my longtime collaborator and business partner.
Nice.
He has a pretty, solid understanding of these kinds of vibrational phenomena and how this stuff works. But at the end of the day, we're always, making best guesses. So you get a commission, you spend all the money basically making it happen. You put it together, turn it on, and if you hope that it works. I mean, we've learned so much after doing this. Like we have so many new designs, so many new approaches, but I mean, it works.
And do you guys work with fabricators these are pretty sweet welds.
Yeah.
I grew up on the farm. I grew up on a farm welding occasionally.
Hell yeah.
And these welds are really nice. Do you work with fabricators, or have you kind of like, as an artist, learned to work with these kinds of materials?
I mean, we've learned to work with the materials, but we have a suite of fabricators that are all based here in LA that are just, gold when you find them. When you get the good relationship and they understand kind of what you're after. So it's been a process of building that team.
Do you think about this too, like just even though nobody sees it, like just how beautiful like the interior is? Like
I've been thinking about that. I mean, I want to sing the praises of, because the collaborator I work with is these engineering drawings and just the way that everything sort of slots together. So this basically goes on top of this. These are the feet that slot into here, and then we put springs there, basically like the shocks of a car. This actually at this scale is fairly rare. For the most part, a lot of cymatic phenomena happen at the tabletop scale. So a lot of people online are doing this stuff in like really small petri dishes, because it is really an engineering challenge. It's a feat in order to move this much water. I mean, this is, I think, maybe 4 or 6 gallons. Like, it's pretty heavy.
Yeah, well, it's crazy. You can feel a little bit of the ground start to...
Yeah.
Ooh.
Before we put, so you'll see here, we've got all this acoustic foam in here, all this sound dampening stuff.
Yeah.
So that's filled inside of here right now.
Okay.
Before we did that, the air cavity of it, you know how subwoofers work, how they have they require to have like a cabinet. So we had this empty negative space that was basically turning my entire loft into like an atmospheric like.
Oh, because this is the sun.
You basically couldn't think, you couldn't hear yourself think, because it was just like these crazy. Just the air around the whole space was like oscillating. It was intense.
Whoa, man! Especially when you get over just how the light does hit differently. I mean, there's so many different. I'm sure you've heard this year after year of you doing this. Like, whoa, dude, this is crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty trippy.
So yeah, that foam, like this is serious foam. I mean, I guess as a music person, I should appreciate that, but given what you said, I'm like, oh wow, the foam can be that effective for dampening it.
It really absorbs a lot of the vibration. You need a lot of air cavities. If you have like one solid open air expanse, it's just going to make just crazy pressure waves.
I have a cold plunge. I'm thinking like water maintenance. How do you have to deal with water maintenance? And
we made our own little cart so we can like fill and drain this guy.
Okay.
But for permanent installations, they get plumbed. You know, they're like permanent, you know, fixtures, kind of like any other fountain you would have.
And then this, I mean, even as it warms up and accelerates, it's like it's just changing, right? I mean, does a lot of the work, depending on the moment with which you look, it's like repetitive, but it's also like, wow, really changing even as I'm talking.
That's the fun thing with water. It's never twice the same. Okay. So it's kind of it's a chaotic thing. And the temperature, the wind, you know, everything changes. I mean, just walking around it, the lighting conditions. Yeah. That's one of the reasons why we put this light up here is like to create like a really nice back reflection.
Oh yeah. Because when you circle and then it's like glowy.
Yeah.
Wow, so simple. Like now I'm doing the science here because this is curved. This reflection is picking up that wall, which then changes the whole view here. You know, it's using the mind. Friday heaters.
Yeah, you're welcome to feel it if you want.
Oh yeah. And then when people, I guess to it probably changes some of the.
Yeah. You'll make some waves, but then eventually the vibrations will take over again.
Feels like next level installation, fountain, light, interactive art.
Hell yeah, that's the hope.
Yeah.
At the same time, constantly building stuff. We've got, you know, all the stuff that we need in order to like build things.
Yeah.
These are all the lenses that we've been cutting.
Whoa.
A lot of like, so the way that lens is working over there, we create these glass lenses.
Wow.
A lot of experimentation, a lot of tinkering.
Yeah, it's clean.
Yeah, I love the polishing. Like part of me is like, are these sculptural objects in and of themselves?
Yeah, I know, right? For sure.
Yeah.
I think that's just what's cool getting to see it. Was that here?
Yeah, I mean, you put it anywhere.
I think it's cool getting to see it in this space. It's like every element is somewhat sculptural.
Yeah, that's the hope.
And is this just like, okay, this would be like a photo lens?
Yeah, well, these are some lenses. So I often am like taking parts out of other lenses. Like I go to this like, it's like a junkyard, but they have a bunch of old camera equipment.
Yeah.
You can get these really wonderful like lenses out of projectors and stuff. So I'm always tinkering and trying to find things. We've also been experimenting with like exposing it on photo paper. So I have some examples of prints we've made.
Yeah.
So this is like, you know, have you ever done darkroom photography?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you basically, I just take these sculptures into the darkroom, put some photo paper in it, flash a strobe.
Yeah.
And so it makes a direct exposure of the actual patterns. So there's no lenses making this, the water acts as a lens.
Man, I love that too. Just again, we were talking about doing prints like this, such a cool way for people to first engage, you know?
I think that's kind of, these are all like a bunch of tests and stuff. You can sort of see like different, so this would be like a really low frequency that hadn't really like kicked on yet.
Yeah.
But I like the variation and stuff.
Yeah. What's the hardest part of what you do, or you think of like how you practice?
Hardest part? I don't know. It's all. I mean, I don't. The great thing is that I've teamed up with this engineer, so I can like concentrate on the kind of pure creation or like kind of the actual things that I think are really enthralling and exciting and fun, and then the things that I'm not good at, which would be like shop drawings and things like that. Like we've like really mind melded, and so it's cool to like articulate these things that are really ephemeral in a really concrete way.
Yeah.
That's the most optically correct parabola we've made to date.
So this, I like really see myself. Is it just because there's no water, like, or?
It's because it's a geometrically precise optic. There is no water. You'd still see yourself through the water if it was placid.
Friday heaters, here we are. And is this going to be a?
Yeah, this is the new thing. Let me show you this. We've been doing a lot of like light sculpture stuff recently. Okay. And this is kind of become a way to prototype some of these new larger sculptures that we're making, but also I think it's kind of a piece in itself. So I'm really excited.
Are you running a audio file or like software?
Through these guys?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're creating like pure sine wave tones.
Okay.
But I can play music as well through it. So this is basically this idea of creating these like solid light sculptures or like kind of light holograms using water.
Yeah. Dang. You have to be careful with like your eyes at all, or?
Yeah, don't look down into it. So we're still working on that.
Yeah.
But basically you can sort of see how it looks like a physical thing. But
Yeah. Like even being here, seeing you do that, I was like, ooh.
yeah.
It looks squishy. Like it kind of like.
Yeah, it looks like Jell-O or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this for me is really exciting new frontier.
Yeah, totally. And the scale of these two. Again, prints, scale of this, scale of that.
Yeah.
Gallery show. We've got lots of ideas. He's ready. Do you have favorite, like, I mean, in terms of, are light and sound of the same passion for you, or does it seem like one has a greater frontier?
Oh, light, for
Light.
sure. Yeah, I mean, I came at all of this from the desire to, work with light as kind of like this same tradition of light artists, like coming out of the 60s.
Yeah.
And sound is really just a sculptural tool for me. It's like my chisel.
Okay.
How I'm able to shape water and then in turn shape light. You got
Oh, whoa.
yeah.
Dude, this is way, like, finally, we found something that is the next gen lava lamp. Like, I don't want to, like, put that on you, like, oh, yeah, and you can change the shape.
I can change the
It
shape.
just got bigger. Like,
Actually, one thing that I've been enjoying doing is, here we go, just like a sine wave. And then I can change the position.
Because is this a projector underneath, or what is?
Yeah.
Okay.
So basically it's a projector, but we've made all these custom lenses, so basically able to
Whoa.
animate it within there and make these. There's like a little hiccup right now going on.
It's kind of cool, though.
Sparkling like diamonds, kind of.
Right?
Yeah, it's
Like a-
super.
So every time it hits these little bubbles in there, it kind of glistens. I mean, it's the same way that like a rainbow reflects light back into our eye. Wiggly.
Yeah. Man, this is fun, dude. I mean, I just admire the work itself, Lachlan, but also the delight that you must bring.
Well, you're
to
asking me like,
people.
how hard can it be? Are you pulling your hair out? I'm like, no, I'm kind of like engrossed in it. I
Yeah.
feel like a kid in a candy shop.
What makes it sparkle like that? Is that just?
So you see all these, so if I put my hand in there, I can
Yeah.
get these bubbles out.
Okay, yeah.
See these bubbles?
Oh, whoa! And they go up on the.
Yeah. Like, do you see how they're like, if they move
Yeah.
up through it? I mean, it's fun to get some like current of all the
Yeah.
particles in there.
Yeah. I'm getting like, I'm kind of almost like, do people get motion sickness? Am I getting motion sickness right now? Because I think I'm getting like a little disoriented. I don't know. That's cool.
Cheers.
You've
Yeah.
gone in like lakes and ponds and stuff.
Yeah, so I mean, I didn't really expect to end up in a really industrial area, but square footage. And so the lack of nature is, I feel like, kind of forced me to like go outside and seek these natural moments
Yeah.
when a lot of this stuff happens on its own. And I mean, it's like we got wood floors. I really need to get a space with like concrete floors so I can start making my own basins for like large water testing.
Yeah.
But I mean, you just go out to some natural hot springs. You don't need
Yeah.
to do it. We're using water right now to create a small maquette, but this idea is that you could create architecture of light. You could create these divisions of space using these planes of light. Or that it would just be like a sheet of light in the space you're in.
Yeah.
That's kind of where we're
Ooh,
going.
okay.
yeah.
Okay.
But at the same, I mean, the fact that the water holds it has a really nice quality, and I think that I'm definitely going to continue this area of exploration. But this is like a maquette for us. It was like a tiny, small test scale model.
It doesn't take a lot, and it's like, whoa, like to leave a really great experience or a great impression on
Hell
someone.
yeah.